Good evening and welcome to the Township of Woolwich regular meeting of council on March 24th, 2026. So welcome everyone here in the gallery and all those watching on YouTube. And I will tell you, before we went into closed, we did a bit of a change to the agendas. So we've moved the question of trees on Arthur Street up in the agenda so that it's part of the council meeting. So we'll deal with that earlier in the agenda than later. And in this beginning portion of the agenda, we're meeting as council for urgent matters or routine items that do not require as much discussion. And we did move the tree item up. We know we're going to have a lot of discussion on that, but we discussed it once already, so we thought council would be a good place for it. The decisions council makes in this portion of the meeting are final. If anyone in the community has questions about the final decisions made tonight, please reach out to staff. I'll start with roll call. I, Mayor Shantz, am chairing this meeting. Councillor Bryant.
Present.
Councillor Burgess.
Present.
Councillor Cadeau.
Present.
Councillor Grant.
Present.
Councillor Schwint.
Present.
Thank you. So before we start the meeting, council needs to reconvene in open session. Can I have a motion to reconvene? Councillor Burgess, Councillor Grant, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. So this is the season, it just struck me as I was thinking about how to open tonight. It's the season of Eid, which is for those that are Islamic Ramadan, and focuses on gratitude, worship, and charity. It's also a season of Passover for our Jewish friends, which focuses on freedom, renewal, and family. And then, of course, Easter for the Christians, which celebrates hope and love for fellow human beings. And so I think those all go together well. And it's whatever your belief system is, those are all good things to reflect on in this spring season. And the robins are back. Also, we had a very successful youth sports hockey championship at the WMC this past week. It was very exciting. If you want to hear noise, go to a women's university hockey championship and you will hear noise. It was very exciting, won by University of Montreal, and they played Concordia, which I would liken to Waterloo playing Laurier around here. So it was an exciting week. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. The Township of Woolwich acknowledges with deep respect that the land we call home has existed since time immemorial, long before our communities were formed and long before we arrived here. Indigenous peoples have had a deep and lasting relationship with this land, caring for it, learning from it, and living alongside all it sustains. We are grateful to the First Peoples who have lived on and cared for this land and who continue to do so today. We recognize the Chinatan, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee people. We honor their deep connection to this land. We acknowledge their wisdom, resilience, and leadership. These communities have protected and cared for the land with respect, responsibility, and a sense of shared trust. As we move forward, we hope to build a future based on mutual respect, shared responsibility, and stronger relationships with one another. May we continue to learn together, to care for each other, and to honor all who share this place with us. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we have no items to come forward from closed and no public meetings, but we do have a presentation this evening from the Vice Chair of the Elmire Maple Syrup Festival, Gunther Kramer. And you're not past Chair, Matt Jessop. Well, come up and introduce yourself and tell us about the festival this year.
Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Gunther Kramer. I'm the vice chair of the Elmire Maple Syrup Festival. And yes, unfortunately, Matt hasn't made it out here tonight, so I send his regrets. We're basically here to say thanks for all the work that council has done, the staff has done here at the township over the years, and especially in these last couple of years where I've been more involved with the festival. The collaboration level has been absolutely astounding, and it's really enables us as an organization to meet a lot of our very lofty goals and provide our community with the Elmire Maple Syrup Festival. So we'd like to start off by showing our appreciation and thanks for all that collaborative spirit that we've been experiencing with everybody. As festival has been around for over 6 decades, it has a lot of deep roots in our community. It is a pillar when it comes to festivals in the entire region, actually. And we do see visitors coming over from near and far. We have many international visitors as well, not just from our own country here, which is wonderful to see. It really is a testament to what our community all has to offer. For this year, we haven't had any major structural changes, but it is always an ongoing improvement as we're growing the festival and coming up with new ideas and maybe switching out some ideas, some of the older ideas with newer ideas. But there aren't too many major issues at this point. One of the things that we have shifted gears on is, of course, like any organization, finances is always top of mind. And so we have started the process of working with different grant organizations and grant writers and so on to see what we can do to hopefully get some grant funding in to help us with our ever increasing costs, as all of us organizations do have over the years. One of the other new initiatives that we started a pilot project last year where we are now also creating merchandise that is branded with the Elmire Maple Syrup Festival. So right behind headquarters, you'll see a swag tent, as we call it, or a merchandise tent, where there's various items that can be seen and purchased there as well. Having said that, a lot of those items are also available for sale and pickup here right at the township office, which is another wonderful example of how we are working together with the township here and how you guys are providing us with all that support. So again, thank you for those opportunities. For the maple syrup producers, we have every year a little award that we give out to the Maple Syrup Producer of the Year. Last year, it was Maple Tap Farms, and they will have the very coveted spot to display their wares and sell their syrup right behind headquarters as well. So if you have an opportunity to come out this year, please make sure you give them a visit and probably purchase some maple syrup. I think everybody loves that sweet treat. For this year, I am very pleased to announce that the winner is TDS Farms, another local farming organization here in our region. And again, this really shows the deep-rooted traditions that we have in our community with these various farmers throughout that produce the maple syrup. Last year, we had a very good turnout, as we typically do. We find over the years we're averaging probably somewhere around 60,000 to 80,000 visitors that come out for this one-day event. Which really shows that Elmire does have a strong presence in the tourism industry and that we do bring a lot of people in, which is wonderful to see. This has, of course, a beautiful financial impact for our entire community. We brought in enough funds so that we could hand out over $68,000 in grants to various local community groups and organizations, organizations such as the Boy Scouts or children's witness protection programs, that sort of thing. So this money is really cyclical that goes into our community, again, that helps the entire community and all the residents in it. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't also pay tribute to our hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that come out every year to help us. We're very thankful for that. As a quick side note, I'll put in a quick little plug for our organization. We can always use more volunteers. So if anybody is wanting to get their hands involved in maybe flipping some pancakes or helping the tourists, by all means, please come out and let us know or spread the word. We can always use more volunteers. We're also looking at trying to increase our presence. So it's not just a one-day event, but we're also working hard to be more visible in the community throughout the year. We have our 2 mascots, Flapjack and Amber, that visit the local schools, especially on Pancake Day. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have met both Flapjack and Amber at some point, involved in various events as well. Mayor Sandy, Chauncey, you had mentioned the youth sports that we had just this last weekend, and we had a presence there as well, as we did as well during the curling event just a short while ago. We're also reaching outside of of our local community here a little bit as well. So sometimes we're also available at the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. We're also seeing a nice increase in interest from the local business community. They're constantly contacting us asking, how can they help? How can they be a part of it? How can they contribute, whether it's financially or with equipment or supporting us? So that's wonderful to see. Again, it brings a lot more economic development to our region, and particularly to Elmire as well. So we're very happy to see that happen. So the local impact that we have is actually quite huge, and we're quite fortunate to have this. Somebody way back when had a beautiful vision, and it's grown to what it is today, which is absolutely amazing. Again, I'd like to just thank the council and staff here in the Woolwich Township for all the support that you've provided us over the years. And we look forward to continuing to work with everybody as we continue to grow and change and meet all of the challenges that come across our plate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you to you and your committee and all of the many volunteers that start our spring season off in a good way. You know, it brings together people from outside the township. It brings together people in the township. And I think I've said before that I know my boys are grown, and often it's a time when their friends come back, and it's almost like a homecoming for many of them, and bringing together service clubs, volunteers, places of worship. It's just a wonderful community event. So thank you very much for all the work you and your team do. Were there any questions? I should have asked that. No, okay. Thank you. I think now we're going to move to 6.1.1, which is the motion for the Arthur Street trees. And we'll get to that. That is a motion brought to us by Councillor Burgess. And so I'm going to leave this to Councillor Burgess to introduce. Over to you.
Thanks, Mayor Shantz. As we heard at our last council meeting, we have a great opportunity to get paving done on Arthur Street this year, as we were able to convince the region to move up the timeline due to the abysmal condition of that road. And as some of you may know, we are a two-tier government, and this is a regional-led project versus our local Woolwich Council project. After the decision last week, we have received feedback from residents about the importance of trees downtown, and we have heard that. And this motion tries to address this issue while continuing on with the importance of paving this year. So thank you to everyone who has reached out and been speaking out about this. We all know the value of trees, from the environmental benefits to offering shade for shoppers to increasing the value of properties. So I'd like to move this motion so staff in their short window of time to get a tender out, look at putting in as many trees as possible based on their previous 37 locations before they had to be removed previously due to the emerald ash borer and other issues. We are requesting they also consult with businesses before putting them in front of their building to make sure they are on side. And just for clarity, this is the section of Arthur Street that is proceeding this year, which is from South Street to Church Street where the lights are. Whereas the Arthur Street reconstruction north of Church Street downtown will be in 2028, and we are looking at solutions for that already. I will read and move this motion, and happy to hear feedback and any amendments from council and the delegates after this. Whereas in 2009, Arthur Street in downtown Elmire core was characterized by a tree canopy with more than 50 trees lining the street and providing benefits like shade, temperature moderation, air purification, and beautification. And whereas many of these trees needed to be removed because of the damage caused by the emerald ash borer, and whereas in 2022, Woolwich Township Council accepted in principle an urban design study for the Elmire core, which included the addition of approximately 45 large street trees. And whereas in preparing the 2026 budget, the Waterloo Regional Council passed a resolution to complete a simple reconstruction in 2026 to repave the road and address community concerns about the compatibility of cycling lanes on Arthur Street. And whereas on March 10th, 2026, the Elmire Business Improvement Area delegated to council and supported trees in the Elmire core but emphasize the urgent need to repave the road for downtown businesses. And whereas on March 10th, 2026, Woolwich Council decided to repave Arthur Street between South Street and Church Street in 2026 with planter boxes for greenery instead of delaying construction to complete additional design and engineering work to install structural soil cells to support healthy growth of 8 to 10 canopy trees. Whereas there is an opportunity to add provisional work in the construction contract to plant trees in the Elmire core in the same way they were growing before the 2009 without soil cells. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Woolwich directs staff to, number 1, investigate planting street trees where feasible in all previous 37 locations without changing the design of the street or delaying the repaving project beyond 2026. Number 2, partner meaningfully with the Elmire Business Improvement Area for site selection and the ongoing maintenance of any trees that can be planted in addition to the planters and benches. Number 3, partner meaningfully with township environmental committees for selection of tree species that would be most appropriate for the area, along with design implementation, maintenance for the ongoing health of the trees. And lastly, pursue external funding opportunities for the initial planting, along with any ongoing downtown greening initiatives and maintenance led by the Climate Action and Sustainability Coordinator with the support of township environmental committees.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Grant, are you seconding?
Yes, I'll second, but I do have an additional question as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilor Burgess, I just wanted to check with number 4. I believe there was some discussion at the environmental meeting on the past week about establishing a reserve fund. Would we be looking at that when we're speaking on pursue external funding opportunities? Just wondering where that's going to fit in.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Grant. That's good to point that out. I believe the motion we passed at the last council meeting included putting in a reserve to start collecting for that. So that was already passed as an initiative.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Just getting all crossed over on what we've done and what we haven't.
Yeah. Any other questions for Councillor Burgess? No? It has been moved and seconded. Okay. But we're going to hear delegations before we vote on it. So we do have Ms. Inga Rinne to delegate. I believe you're here representing Trees for Woolwich. Is that correct?
To be perfectly fair, I won't say that I'm representing Trees for Woolwich because frankly, time has been too short to pull together a full meeting, but I can certainly indicate that yes, the vast majority of the membership, and I think I also speak for Tweak. Connor Ehrlich is here this evening as the chair. What you have on your screen right now is how Elmire looked in 2013. I have to admit, I was here in 2013 and I didn't realize now how green it was back then. So this is what that site looks like now. I don't think I need to ask which of those environments people might be inclined to spend their time in. Somehow trees always get treated as frills, something to add a touch of beauty to a space once all the other planning has been done. But the reality is that this is not just something pretty to look at. This is about assisting the economic viability of our downtown. Repeated research shows that the commercial environment that includes shaded trees has more foot traffic, people spend more time, and they spend more money there. In 2015, the ash trees were clear cut on the main street. Some had died from emerald ash borer. Many were still alive, and you saw the picture. Frankly, we're doing remarkably well. When we met with township staff after that culling, we were reassured that, oh, the trees would be replaced in the next year or two when this reconstruction happened. Well, time dragged on, and imagine our surprise when council suddenly completely changed direction and passed a resolution that included no trees at all. And a vague instruction to investigate the placement of planters for shrubs and plants in the future. There's been much discussion about the use of soil cells to plant urban trees. The compaction and the concrete really make downtown urban tree survival difficult. There's no doubt that the soil cells are probably the best urban planting solution for maximizing survival. I heard the comment made that there was no guarantee. There are few guarantees. We have been told, however, that it is absolutely imperative that Arthur Street be resurfaced in 2026, and that it was impossible to incorporate any soil cells in 2026. So we should not abandon any hope of trees and just say, well, maybe 15 or 20 years from now, we can incorporate them. We need to move to the next best solution. And the next best solution is what is the motion in front of you this evening. It is the solution that was recommended in the Green Infrastructure Report in 2018. And again, in the Elmire Redevelopment Plan in 2022. So it's not a big surprise that this is a plan that needed to be implemented. That solution is to replant the 50 trees that came out. It's not clear to me in the motion how 8 to 10 got to be the suggestion, but I should say that Katerina Richter, who is the author of the Green Infrastructure Report, is here with us this evening. And I think it might be very beneficial for council to hear briefly from her and to look at the recommendations that were in there. It, in fact, talked about a township plan to start replanting in 2018, which didn't happen. So the holes that are there are less than an ideal environment for a tree, but we can help them along a little bit by adding some high quality soil for them when they're being planted. Those holes have been concreted over, but if you're pulling up the sidewalks, that's the time to add that soil. My discussions with experienced urban landscape contractors tells me that planters, by the time you buy the planter, fill it, put plant material in it and install it, is going to be in the order of $5,000 a piece. We can plant a bunch of trees for that money. And a basic investigation by one of our Trees for Woolwich people, Pat Gleason, who measured the downtown sidewalks, there's simply, with the best of intentions, isn't room for very many planters that need to be 4 feet by 4 feet to house anything significant. Certainly not the 25 or 30 that were suggested might be a possibility at the last meeting. The planters are simply not a workable solution, and they don't provide the goals that we have for the downtown. Shade, pollutant, vehicle, it'll slow down the traffic on the street, on those nice shiny trucks that are rolling on your new asphalt. The absorbency of some of the rainwater that will ease the strain on the sewer systems. The resolution is 8 to 10. We can do better, and we should do better. Let's replace as many of those as the sidewalk. I appreciate that you need 5 feet worth of sidewalk, but the vast majority of those can be replaced. This is the only opportunity that we're going to have to do that for the next 15 years. The trees were there before, they can be there again. Those are my submissions. As I said, if you would like to hear from Ms. Richter, I think that might be beneficial.
Thank you. Are there questions? Councillor Schwint.
Thanks.
You're muted, Eric.
Sorry, I'm trying to get this right. I'm trying to wrap my head around quality versus quantity. We're short on time, we're short on funding as we usually are, and we need to have the downtown done the best we can this year. Would you feel that more trees in all 45 or 50 locations and see what happens is the best approach? Or would you prefer less trees, but more care being taken in terms of sofa cells or other enhancements to improve their chance of survivability?
Well, from what I gather, the silver cells are simply not on for the next 15 years. So I'm frankly not about waiting, having waited 11 years already. I'm too old to wait another 15 years. I think that you plant the holes that were there, you provide some care and maintenance. It's not a huge amount. They need to be watered regularly. Be nice if they got fertilized once in a while, and they need to be pruned up periodically to keep them out of people's way. It's not a huge task, but are they all gonna survive? Unlikely. So we better play the odds and see how many we can get to survive. So I think it's not about quality at this point. I think it is about quantity.
Anyone else? Councillor Burgess.
For you, Mayor Shantz, I just want to say thanks for all the work you've done with Trees for Woolwich and the environmental groups. And I know you had a hand in recommending this solution or talking about it with staff. So thanks again for kind of helping us. Getting feedback from residents and community members is a great thing. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you. We do have a written submission from Sandra Bray in the package, and if Katerina would like to speak, I need a motion from council. Councillor Cadeau, Councillor Burgess, all those in favor. I'm seeing hands flying around all over, so 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Welcome. Good to
Thank
see you.
you very much for allowing me to speak. I won't take much time. I am a resident of Elmire. My name is Katerina Richter. I've been living here for over 20 years. And as was mentioned, I am the main author of that Elmire Green Infrastructure Report that was done by Natural Resource Solutions in 2018 for TWEAK, the Township of Woolwich Environmental Enhancement Committee. And it was done in cooperation with the township and with the region of Waterloo. It provides a 20-year plan on the greening of Elmire, which was supported by the public. We had some meetings, and it was recommended at that time to replace the trees in the downtown core that were removed in 2015. As Arthur Street was not going to be fully reconstructed, the report recommended planting trees downtown in 4 years between 2018 and 2021. So it's been a while, and that has not happened yet. The report also recommends replacing trees generally the same year as they die. So one of the questions was quality or quantity. The urban environment is a harsh environment for trees to survive in, but they may not survive 50 years, but they will likely survive or can fairly easily survive 10 or 15, which would take us to the reconstruction of Arthur Street. In the downtown core, there were 51 trees along Arthur Street and 11 along Church Street. And I know we're not discussing the Church Street right now. But the same locations could be opened up again and filled with good quality soil and then planted with trees. And the report actually makes recommendations on what species would be suitable. So given the harsh conditions, as I just mentioned, these trees may not survive to full maturity, but even the small trees will provide benefits, as Inga Rinne mentioned, providing visual appeal, shade, temperature reduction, improvement of air quality, and beautification of the downtown core area, which will have economic benefits to the shops downstairs, downtown. It will make the downtown area a much more inviting place to be. So as a resident of Elmire, I would love to see the trees come back into the downtown area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Councillor Cadeau.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, question for staff. What's the feasibility, because it's asking where feasible, what's the feasibility of going in, opening those holes and planting trees in? Like, what is the process that we would need to undertake in order to do that?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Shantz, to Councillor Cadeau. Obviously, time is not on our side, but what we've talked about internally is we have the opportunity through the curb stop replacement work to be able to expose some of those areas. We don't know what we're into there. We know trees did exist in some of those locations, of course. So we don't know if we're going to see still root ball, no root ball. But generally speaking, we're going to look at some areas there. And obviously, we need to have some communication with businesses. There were two reasons for the removal in 2015. Yes, the emerald ash borer was the predominant reason, but there were other businesses that it was hiding their facade and their signage too. So there was some concern from some businesses. So we would expect some will probably be very happy to have trees. I think we just need to have some flexibility on where those trees can go, if we can move them. And if you look downtown, a lot of them were right directly in front of some storefronts with overhangs. So I think there just needs to be some flexibility given as far as placement. But if it is council's will that we look to maximize as many trees, there is the funding component. We are assuming, and it is an assumption at this stage, that we're talking roughly $1,000 per tree. We would have some ability to put something in the contract and then and go from there. But I think, you know, we need to quickly, obviously, communicate with some of the businesses to find out if we have any hard no's, deal with that, and look for some reasonable locations, and we can potentially utilize a contractor to expose some areas. So that's our general plan at this point. The 8 to 10 number was if for soil cells, just so we're clear, and that's where we looked at the bump out locations really as the only opportunity, given that the amount of soil required for a soil cell type tree. That's really it. But obviously we agree their trees did survive there for a time, and that's something we think we can accommodate if that's council's will. At least, but no guarantees, no assurances for sure on survival. But you know, we'd look to do the best. We would definitely take advice as far as species go. We have the township does have an approved list. I have not read the report, so I appreciate that information too, that there was pieces identified. We'll review that report for sure, and we can look and deal with some of those recommendations as well in the tender. But just for clarity, we have 3 days for which to get comments back to the region, and then we're going to have one more kick at the can, 2 weeks to kind of finalize it, and then it's on the street if we have any hope to get it done this year. That's the unfortunate window that we're dealing with, but we feel we can manage with that.
Jared, if I can just ask, the region is doing the road, we're doing the sidewalk. So we do have flexibility on the sidewalk piece, I would assume.
Yeah, to Mayor Shantz. So we're preempting the larger reconstruction with the water, the curb stop replacements. We're managing that on our own. That just allows us to potentially open up some areas. And then it is a cost share between us and the region regarding the rest of the sidewalk, because there is the electrical streetlight conduit that they're paying for. So that will have some impact to sidewalk too. And it's true, like we have to be cognizant of AODA standards with respect to the 1.5 meter clear. We want to respect, obviously, the facades and so forth too. So there's a lot of things to consider. We've walked that a few times now, and there's a lot of little details on the side streets, and we're trying to, certainly improve the entire downtown core in that section between South Street to Church.
Okay, thank you. Evan, Councillor Burgess.
Thanks through you, Mayor Sean. It's just two things here. First one, we had a meeting, Councillor Grant, Mayor Sean, and I with some of the environmental committees on Friday night there. And one of the conversations was putting in EV conduit if we want to put chargers in the future. On the reconstruction north side, that would be easier to do. Is there any ability to put that in here when you're doing the street lights or tearing anything up there? Is that at all a possibility?
I would suggest at this stage, no. Funding obviously is an issue. I don't have enough information on what that would look like. In the past, that hasn't been something that council's desired to do. That could always happen later, I believe. So, you know, you would just impact a specific location if that was to be addressed at some point. I don't feel that's a must do now or you'll never have the chance. I think you could always retroactively look at EV charging stations at some point.
Thank you, appreciate that. And then can I amend my own motion?
Sure.
Based on some of the comments that were made, given the time frame, I also commented to it about wanting to make sure the businesses are on side with some of the locations of the trees. If council is open or someone wants to second it, could we direct our economic development officer to connect with the businesses to make sure they're on side with locations? Mostly because he already has those relationships built. It can help infrastructure's time frame, get an extra manpower there. And yeah, because we don't want to put in all these trees and then create other issues with the local businesses who this is partly supporting.
I guess yeah, Kayla, you seconded it. Are you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that amendment. I'll just maybe shout out Sandra's written letter that was about economic kind of advantages of mature tree canopies, which may be of interest to the BIA. And I know that at that meeting we did discuss that a lot of the concerns that are around, hiding of signage can be achieved by proper pruning. So that could be a discussion that the BIA discusses about whether or not they want to include in their beautification funding an arborist that does some pruning every 3 or 4 years.
I guess I'd ask Mr. Brenneman about the staff piece.
Well, I don't want to speak for Deanne.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I guess we've moved people around, haven't we?
Yes. But I'm sure she would agree it's probably a reasonable thing for our dev person to already has the relationships with the BIA, et cetera.
Thanks. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Councillor Schwint. Thank you.
Thanks. Just looking to clarify on the the repaving this year, what work is being done on the sidewalks? Curb stops being done. So then how much opportunity is there to add good soil or better soil where we choose to plant trees?
Through Mayor Shantz to Councillor Schwint. So all of the sidewalks are intended to be removed. So there is opportunity there. It's the challenge and why there's really not a lot of opportunity for a soil cell type of tree is because the curb is staying, the storm sewer is staying. So that's static, that is not being replaced, but we would have opportunity to hydrovac certain locations when the sidewalk's gone and to look to improve some of the soil locations. Again, it's competing interests, right? As always is the case. Organic soil is not great for carrying load with respect to sidewalk movement and that sort of thing. Trees aren't great in that environment as we deal with all the time on reconstruction projects. So there's always competing interests there, but there is opportunity, I think is the point to your question.
Okay. I guess I'd hate to see us pay $1,000 per tree, not do anything in terms of soil structure enhancements to give the best chance possible.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Grant.
Thank you, through you to this council. And just to maybe address Councillor Schwind's concerns, I know a key point of this motion is to confer with the environmental groups. They are comprised of a number of experts, and in our discussions on Friday, they were fairly confident that we could plant some trees in these locations and that the soil would not be as in bad condition as we maybe feel it might be. So they were quietly confident, essentially, that this should be more than doable. And I think the drainage for meeting kind of what can support a sidewalk and what can support a tree can be equitably met.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Burgess.
Thanks through you, Mayor Sean. So this is just a comment again, another thing that came out of the meeting on Friday. Specifically for the planters and maybe slightly for the trees, but I think as Inga commented, Patrick Leeson was measuring sidewalks and that, and he pointed out some good comments about placement of those planters, and just given that some of them are 4x4 or large, that again, we're not affecting AODA standards, and also don't put them too close to the road where car doors are gonna slam into them and stuff like that. So just again, thinking big picture and make sure we leave spacing and how it'll all play into that.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other hands. There's a motion on the floor. I guess, oh, are you in favor?
I am neither in favor nor against. What I would say is, may I just clarify that I have everything correct for council before you take the vote, Mayor Shantz?
Sure.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I just wanted to clarify the motion from the council agenda that was published this afternoon. Since then, 2 changes, I believe. 37 is the number of locations that we're adding to the motion. And we're also adding consult with local businesses on site selection led by the Economic Development and Tourism Officer. And that has been moved and seconded, I believe, Mayor Shantz.
I'm not seeing anybody vehemently arguing. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Shantz, through to council. Just for clarity on budget. So this was not budgeted for at this stage. Just we're looking for some direction on that. Again, assuming 1,000, but we won't know per tree. So roughly $40,000. But just wondering from council's vantage point, if that is going to come out of the $500,000 that's already been budgeted, or would there be where would that funding be coming from?
Council, are we looking to the greening levy for that? Are we looking for fundraising for that? What, I guess I'll ask Councillor Burgess, it's his motion.
Yeah, we did comment in the motion there about looking the sustainability and climate coordinator to look for funding options and working with Tweak. So that's option 1. But I guess for the budget right now, I guess I'd look to Director of Infrastructure or Director of Finance. Is there room in that 500,000? And if not, is there room in the greening? And if not, worst case scenario, go to the contingency reserve.
Mr. Lynn?
I can speak to
Or-
the 500. Currently, we would like to hold that for the work because we don't know, and we wouldn't want to forego any of the planned work that we had contemplated. So we would prefer to keep that. There may be money, but we won't know until the tender closes, right? But for now, we would prefer to hold that.
And through you, Mayor Shantz, just to add to Director Poupé's comments there, maybe we could have a kind of a tiered approach similar to Councillor Burgess suggested, where our first draw would be if there is any funding available, then we would take it from the money already allocated for the reserve. The second draw would be potential a climate and greening levy. And then the third would be operating contingency in that kind of order. That's what I would suggest. And then another option, as council kind of identified, is potential additional revenue, which could offset any of those funding sources through community donations or corporate fundraising efforts.
I think there are some grant opportunities as well. Ms. Fries?
That's what I was just going to mention. I know the Director of Rec Services couldn't be here, but she did mention to SMT on Monday that grant program is still open. And we could apply for it, not guaranteed, but it could be an option that we could get a partial funding there.
Okay, Councillor Cadeau?
I don't know that I had my hand up, but I do have a question. We're moving from 45 to 37. What's the rationale for that?
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Burgess. Thank
Through
you.
you, Mayor Shantz. 45 is what was on the reconstruction plan, but 37 is what actually was there previously. It's just a bit of a typo.
Okay. Yeah.
I had the microphone, so I'll take this opportunity to make a brief comment. I just want to thank Councillor Burgess, Councillor Grant, Mayor Shantz, and the massive people who came out Friday night. I know that it's been a bit of a contentious issue, and I think that the motion that we have in front of us with some of the changes that we made is a step in the right direction to trying to correct a decision that was made in the past. So thank you to those of you who put in the effort. Very much appreciated.
And thank you. Ms. Rinne looks like she'd like to say something. Do we want, I need council's permission.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the answer is yes. Come to the mic though and turn it on, please, because Kayla and Eric can't hear you otherwise.
I couldn't help but point out that when the BIA was here 2 weeks ago, they made it clear they had money set aside for trees. So that would be an additional source of revenue. That's all.
Thank you. We will look at all sources. And before we vote, I also want to say thank you to council on this. It's been a long time, and part of the reason the trees haven't been planted is because the road reconstruction kept getting put off. And so I'm glad to see that we're coming to the place that we are, where we can get some trees and get the road paved and put that behind us. So I'll call a question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. We do have 4 consent items for approval. I think Councillor Burgess wanted to ask a question on one of them. Why don't you just go ahead and ask it, and then we'll approve it.
Thanks. Just give me 1 sec here. Sorry to pull it up. Yeah, so my question was on the building permit study, the fees there. Sorry, long report here. The building permit fee study. So we're looking at spending $30,000 to do a study to kind of determine what kind of increase we need on our fees. This is a significant amount of money, but I guess more what I'm focused on is we're in a unique time now post-COVID where construction has maybe slowed down a bit from what we were projecting. And also we're in this unique scenario with the regional water issue. So there's kind of 2 things that are out of the ordinary and affecting the permits and billing that's going on. So I just wanted to confirm that this study's kind of taken this into consideration. The unique, I guess, just is this the right time to be doing this study?
Mr. Sharina?
Thank you, Mayor Shantz, Mayor Shantz, Councillor Burgess. I could appreciate the water issue that the region and that we're having right now. The idea of the study is a long-term study, so it's to be sustaining for 5 and plus years. The idea of our building permits rates is to be self-sustaining, as it's not on the all our operating expenses come from our permit revenue. So the idea of the study is to evaluate our operating costs, and that if the building permit revenue is or the rates are accurate to sustain the building department, as well as contribute to a reserve fund. Right now, we're actually, and I could appreciate the issues with the water capacity, but Woolwich, last year we've seen quite a bit of permit revenue unexpectedly, and I can appreciate the water, but I don't think the water issue is something that's going to be a long-term thing, and this study is to be a long-term thing after the water capacity issue is resolved. The study is not going to take in consideration of the water, because as soon as that's addressed, we're going back to business as usual. So the idea of the study is long term. Yeah.
Councillor Schwint.
Thanks. I want to follow up on Councillor Burgess's questions. That struck me too is how different are we than Wellesley, Wilmot, Center, Wellington? Do we need an independent study? Is this something we could copy and tweak internally for less than $30,000, but still come up with a balanced budget.
Mr. Shrina?
Through you, Mayor Shantz, to Councillor Schwent. So we did a small little increase last year of 3%. It was a small increment increase to our permit fees to kind of get us up a little bit higher than where we were. I don't know the permit fees of the neighboring municipalities rate for 2026, but last year we were below average. To raise those to a level of where they need to be, a comprehensive study looks at everything in the building department, as well as the future forecast of development. So it's hard to just take an average of other building departments and get to a certain rate, because each department is different in their rates of what they're recovering. So we could be actually collecting information that's not rich. At the same time, the rates are to be reasonable. The Building Code Act says that the rates are to be reasonable to what your costs are, as well as to put into a reserve. So we have a duty to our customers to report to them why we've selected these rates, and that's part of reviewing all operating costs. So for our customers, saying we've taken the average of whatever it might be, it may not be a reasonable rate. So
Okay, if I can just follow up then, if we're doing a more comprehensive review, we've added more, I guess, analyst capacity on the finance team currently. At what point can we start doing some of these studies more in-house? Maybe that's a question for the CAO.
Ms. Freese?
So just to be clear, this is not like a study that just does a comparison of what other municipalities are charging for their building permit, but it looks at actual time it takes and the process of processing that building permit application. So it's not a financial review. It's a looking at how much time it takes for a building official to process an application and to conduct an inspection. Other departments that have input in that, and then figures out how much we should be costing for that permit application based on the time we spend. So what it does is it makes sure that the building department is recovering their time, because they are a self-funded department. We do have the money in the building reserves to pay for this study, but this study will help us in the long term to make sure that we continue collecting the right amount of money to pay for the cost of processing a building permit application.
Mr. Lyon?
Through you, Mayor Johnson, I think part of Councillor Schwind's question was related to analytical capacity, particularly maybe in the finance department. So to answer his more holistic question about relying on consultants versus doing some of this work in-house, I do believe that some of the increased analytical capacity could reduce our overall reliance on some of these external consultants. For this one in particular, there probably is some synergies that we could do, because we have to do some of this work as things like the overhead analysis that we were planning on doing already in-house. So I anticipate that that kind of work, some of it could be done in-house, but in conjunction with the consultant, mentioning what Director Freese said. A lot of the time and the building focused nature of the consultant would be beneficial for some of those building permit related items, but the overall global financial analysis, maybe we could reduce some of the fees related to this because of the in-house financial capacity. And I think this would apply to a number of consulting engagements that we've done in the past, where we've outsourced a lot of that financial analysis or other kind of analysis that we could now potentially have the ability in-house to deliver.
So was that taken into account in this RFP?
through your Mayor to Councillor Schwent, no, it was not. When we looked at the cost of this study, I've been involved in 2 studies before. This was actually a reasonable rate compared to some of the other studies in the past that I've done. Also, to Deanne's point, these studies are traditionally done by economists, and this We are looking at a building official consultant that has experience working with a lot of municipalities that has completed numerous of these studies, as well as there was no RFP. Based on the purchasing bylaw, it's permitted to sole source when there's a quote under $30,000. Something similar we've done before was I believe the water rate study that was just under $30,000 as well. So we didn't do an RFP per se for this study.
Okay, Councillor Cadeau.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, support this. We went ahead and did the study. On a balance of probabilities, what's the likelihood that our fees would go up versus go down?
To you, Mayor, to Councillor Cadeau, they would likely go up. Since I don't know the last time this study was done, but there was something there was a rates increased in 2017. That's the last time we actually looked at the rates. Since 2017 to now, the building department has grown, growth has grown, operating costs have increased. So the idea, we're sitting kind of below average in compared to other municipalities. So it's likely that it would increase. Factors of looking at part of the study is not only operating costs, but also reserve funds and what is a healthy reserve fund and how to get there to ensure that during economic downturns, that's the reserve fund we rely to recover our costs. So it's likely that it would go up. As part of the this is a public process as well, so our stakeholders would be notified and be part of this process. So.
Okay, and it's been 9 years since we've done it.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. Yeah.
It's good to make that obvious. Yeah. Any other questions on the consent agenda? Can I have a mover and a seconder then? Councillor Bryant, Councillor Cadeau, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We have no unfinished business, and we have a couple of reports, and the first one is a drinking water summary report. I'll call on Mr. Poupet.
Johnson, through you to members of council. So we have our annual reporting, our drinking water summary reports in here. This contains the drinking water quality management standard and our management review pieces. This is a legislated report for council's information, as you are the owners of the water system, and it is for council to receive the report and appendices for information, and then also to direct staff to provide a copy of the report to our neighboring water users, which would be the Region of Waterloo as the supplier, City of Kitchener, City of Waterloo, the Township of Wellesley. I think there's a couple of good news stories in here. We have significantly reduced our adverse drinking water quality incidences. You can see that the summaries from 2022, we got 21 incidences in 2023, 17, 24, 16, still very high, and this year 5. And I think that is more representative of what we should be experienced. For as long as I've been here, we've been, at least 10. So I think, good work. We had some really good conversations with regional staff, looked at processes. We made investments in some sampling stations, and I think that's the result there. And so it was a good collaborative effort by all involved to finally resolve those issues. There were some opportunity for improvements. No non-conformities. That's important to note too. But opportunity for improvements, and that is the intent. Just so we're clear about the Safe Drinking Water Act, there's always improvement to be had. So some of this was some paper exercises, and the other part that is of note is there was just raised the flag regarding deferral of capital projects related particularly to potential lead locations. We are aware that there are Elmire only, and those are identified in the capital. They have been in the capital program. The challenge that we've had is the funding piece, and they continue to be deferred. However, we have a number of those projects going for engineering this year. And the intent then is to maintain that schedule as laid out in our current capital forecast. So we would look to get engineering work on some of those locations this year, and I believe next year as well. And then we can decide how construction will occur in future budget deliberations. So with that, Carter and McGuire, Manager of Operations, and myself could look to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No, seeing none, there is a motion there. Moved by Councillor Grant, seconded by Councillor Cadeau. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And the next one is Water Regulation 453/07 Financial Plan. This one's for Mr. McGuire.
Thank you, Mayor, through you to council. In front of you, we have report ISO 2/2026. It's for Water Ontario Regulation 453/07 Financial Plan, number 114301A. The gist of this is, to give the background, every 5 years, a municipality is required to renew their license for their drinking water system. One of the requirements for that renewal is to have the financial plan approved by council, which is the recommendation number 1. It's a 6-year plan looking at the year of renewal and looking forward 5 years. So the endorsement is required to renew our license. The license renewal is due on November 26th. We have to submit all paperwork and required documents 6 months prior to that. So we're here in front of you to then receive the three recommendations you see: the approve the Water Ontario regulation, number 2, that the Director of Finance and Treasurer of the Township advertise a financial plan, and that Council directs the staff to submit the financial plan to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Those are the 3 requirements under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And I'll have any questions if you do, or answer any questions.
Are there questions? Councillor Schwint.
Yeah, just looking at the statement of financial, it shows we're going to be making 1.3 to 1.7 million a year for the next 6 years. And that's not in line with our past performance. Can you just kind of point out some highlights on what's different going forward?
Mr. Lynn.
Through you, Mayor Shantz. So I think what Councillor Schwint's referring to is like the historic operating water loss. Again, this just refers to the water program and not the wastewater program, and most of the deficits, the operating deficits, we've experienced in the wastewater program. So we didn't account for any potential operating deficits. The operating deficits would reduce the amount available for any of the capital work, and that's what's happened in the past, where we had to fund, we had to defer a number of capital projects to fund these operating deficits. So this financial plan didn't assume any operating deficits. It assumes that the operating is self-sustaining. If there are changes to that and we do experience deficits in the operating program, we would have to defer some of the capital projects. And that is also what the internal audit report highlighted. Director Poupé referenced that we had to defer our existing capital plan in order to offset operating deficits. So there is potential that the outlined capital plan may not have the funding available, but we would have to adjust. We don't really know, and we can't predict some of those operating losses at this time.
Anyone else? Councillor Cadeau.
So that was our situation last year. What have the previous years been like?
Mr. Lynn.
Through you, Mayor Shantz, as far as the last year, I think you're referring to the operating deficit. So last year we did, and I can pull up the exact numbers. Last year there was a deficit. The previous year there was a significant deficit, and then 2 years ago, Council will remember the significant deficit related to the auto flusher issue, which was over $1 million. So roughly, I believe $1.5 million to $2 million was the total of the reduction or the in the capital program related to that. So It's roughly there. The other thing is the forecast, the capital forecast. So BMA provided a capital forecast, which was the original 6-year financial plan, but we had to make a number of adjustments because of the current capital process. So having a more stable capital forecast would also help with our forecasting for our water license and our water capital plan.
Anyone else? Okay, there is a motion on the agenda. Would someone like to move it? Councillor Bryant, Councillor Grant, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And finally, we have a zone change application on Florapine Road, and I'll call on Director of Development Services, Deanne Priest.
I'm going to refer this one to our planner, Stephen Dykstra,
are.
who's on virtually.
Good
Welcome,
evening.
Stephen, Mr. Dykstra.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Stephen Dykstra. I just want to make sure, first of all, that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. I do have a small presentation, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. As you can see here,
Sorry,
this is.
we don't have the presentation though.
Oh.
That's looking promising.
There we go.
There we
go. Can we see it?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. So this is for a recommendation report for a zoning bylaw amendment. It was provided to us by Mr. Bob Black on behalf of Floridale Parkview nonprofit manners. Okay. I'm just really providing you with an overview of the report and providing some imagery associated with it. This was presented at a public meeting a while back. This is just where it's located. It shows most of the property exists. It's on Florapine Road. It's just on the easterly side of Florida Village. This is the purpose of the zoning bylaw. It's just to add 20 dwelling units in the format of 10 semi-detached residential dwellings. This is going to be a site-specific zoning bylaw. Again, it adds 20 additional units for 10 semi-detached buildings, and these will be used predominantly by seniors. There's also a provision in there that accessory building sheds would be permitted for each unit, and on site already there are amenities. This zoning bylaw then continues those provisions. One item to note is that there is a holding provision for the completion of the archaeological assessment, but we do have a recommendation in there that would provide delegated authority to staff. So once that archaeological assessment has been completed, then it can be fully approved in order to provide the option for having the zoning bylaw approved. Now we're doing it now in the event, and then when the archaeological assessment is completed, then we can just do that internally. This just shows you the report findings in very brief one slide, what was done on probably 7 or 10 pages, that it meets all the provincial, regional, and township planning policies. We found that the land use is compatible. The concept is appropriate for these lands and for the surrounding area. The zoning bylaw that we included permits this proposed development. It has services available, and all of the internal and the external agencies have been contacted and are satisfied, and we haven't had any comments from the public. This is sort of the last plan to show you exactly what the concept plan is. It shows in those red boxes the proposed semi-detached units, and it also shows the existing building there. That really is the extent of the report. So that's just an overview of the recommendation report that was presented to council.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cadell has a question.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you to Mr. Dykstra. Water is obviously an issue in the region. Can you speak to the source of water and I think it was septic for wastewater?
Yes, so in terms of the water source, it's a well water, and in terms of septic, this had to actually go through the region. It was a long process for the applicant. They they were successful in this, and this is why this report is going now, because there was updates to the provincial regulations on this, and they are updating and increasing their communal septic area, and they will be able to do it all on site. So both water and wastewater are being dealt with on site.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, there is a recommended resolution in front of you. Would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Cadeau, seconded by Councillor Bryant. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dykstra. We have a number of bylaws on the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those, please? Councillor Grant, Councillor Burgess, all those in favor? And that's carried. So that concludes the council portion of the meeting. Do we need a recess or do you want to carry on? Carry on. We'll just carry on. And I'll turn the chair over to Councillor Bryant for the committee of the whole part of the meeting. Councillor Bryant.
Thank you. Good evening. We're now meeting as Committee of the Whole for items that require more debate and discussion. We will not be making final decisions on these items, but proposing recommendations for the next council meeting. If anyone in the community has feedback on these recommendations, we encourage you to reach out to staff or submit comments to council before a final decision is made at the next meeting. So the first item on our agenda is item 6.1.2. CO4-2026, Election 2026 Report 6, Language Recounts, Contribution, Rebates, and Use of Corporate Resources. So we will turn that over to our Deputy Clerk, Alec Kirchin.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening to Council. As you are aware, the Clerk's Office has already been working very hard to prepare for the upcoming 2026 municipal election. That's going to take place this October 26th, 2026. So before you this evening is Report 6, Election Report 6, that deals with, as Chair Bryant said, the language recounts, contribution, rebates, and use of corporate resources. These are 4 decisions that Council can make, often by bylaw or policy, and it's typically done before the nomination period begins, which is May 1st this year. Staff reviewed all 4 of these areas, and I'm going to start with the no's before I get to the yeses for the recommendation. Of the 4, there are 3 of the decisions that staff are recommending that council take no action on. The first of these is with regards to language of notices and forms. 2021 census, which is the most recent published one, for language statistics in Woolwich, we found that only 1.5% of residents do not speak English. So because of that, and because of the greatness of technology and the ability to use translation devices, staff are not recommending that we take any action on the languages of notices and forms, which means that they will be in English. The second is the recount policy. For this, staff are satisfied with the current thresholds that were put in place for the last election. That is 5, let me write this one down, 5 and 10, I believe 5 for ward councillors and 10 for the mayor races. Staff reviewed, I believe it was 23 policies of municipalities all throughout the province of varying population sizes, voting methods, and through that review determined that we were satisfied with our thresholds. On top of that, we also looked at the 2022 election and all of the differences between each candidate, and noted that the smallest margin was 96 votes. So because of that considerably large threshold between, as the smallest threshold, staff are recommending no change to our recount policy. The third one is contribution rebates. Councils are permitted to set a contribution rebates for any voter that has contributed to a candidate. It's very to budget for that, and is quite, or can be quite costly. So staff, again, are not recommending to take any action on that. What staff are recommending tonight is some amendments to the use of corporate resources policy. These amendments are mostly for clarity and better understanding of the policy. So staff have added some definitions, have changed some language, again, so that it is a clearer policy for all to understand. So that is a summary of my report. If council has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Kirchen. Council, do we have any questions? Councillor Burgess?
Thank you, Chair Bryant. Through you to the deputy clerk, and just throwing it out to council. On the recount policy, I know not a lot of municipalities have a policy there for when the races are close. But just looking at, for example, Ward 1 here, there in the last election, there was 5,691 votes. So 5 votes would be 0.08% of the voting group. So that seems like a very small threshold for me. And I've been through this process once. I've also helped counting votes through the federal election and stuff. And to me, it should be a little higher of a threshold. I know it's just kind of arbitrary picking a number here, but didn't know if there was interest from anyone else of kind of 25 and 10, 50 and 25. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Or if the deputy clerk wanted to comment at all, if that would affect your situation. Because if I lost by 6 votes, I would be, I don't know, should we?
I can comment on that through the chair. Yes, I would say that is going to be the one number passed. We have actually, we don't have to set a threshold. The Municipal Elections Act actually by default is a tied vote for an automatic recount. We have taken a proactive approach with this and have actually set a threshold in the 2022 election, and again are not recommending anything further. I did some additional analyses of the past 4 elections, and I have found, so for this one, I actually looked at the runner-up. So in my report, my analysis was just of 2022, and it was between every candidate. For this one, I actually looked at the runner-up for each race in the last 4. With those, I'm not going to go through all of them, but again, the smallest threshold there that I found was 79 votes. So again, it's quite large. And again, I believe our threshold is proactive and the correct amount. I will say there are other options. So the Municipal Elections Act also allows council to pass a resolution to direct the clerk to do a recount. So if there was potentially a candidate who was unhappy with the results, they could either delegate if they weren't on council, or if they're on council, they can or recommend a motion that council direct the clerk to do a recount, or an application can be made to the Superior Justice Court. This all has to be done within 30 days of the clerk declaring the official results. All of that being said, though, I am at the will of council, so if council wishes to direct staff to change that threshold, we can do that.
Council, did you want to make any changes? No? No. Okay, do we have any further questions for the deputy clerk? No, seeing none. You have a motion before you. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Cadeau, Mayor Shantz. Any further questions? None? I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? That would be carried. Thank you. Next on our list is 6.1.3 IS 04-2026, IS 04-2026. Cost recovery for extension of wastewater services Woolwich Street South and Menno Street. So for our next item, we have Mr. Poupey up.
Thank you, Chair Brandt, and through you to Bryant, sorry, Chair Bryant, through you to members of council. Before you was ISO 4-2026, cost recovery for extension of wastewater services, Woolwich Street South and Menno Street. Just to take council back, this whole project revolving around Breslau Drain 1, we received petitions from some residents who had experienced significant flooding in the Elroy Acres and Kennedy Road area. That took some time to move forward. And while that was happening, development begins to occur in Breslau with the Mad West development. And the report explains this, but just for public benefit too, the decision was made, and it was a very quick decision, was the draft plan was being approved as we were looking towards tendering the Breslau Drain 1 work, and the decision was made to, instead of impact the community multiple years in a row, we would just look to lump those projects together for a couple reasons: economy of scale. The Mad West subdivision required a sanitary sewer connection pipe, so that was going in along this alignment. And obviously, we had the obligation to the petitioners to facilitate the drainage work. The decision here was made, so that the important part to understand is that that sanitary sewer alignment, it's deep. It had to go in the road in that location, and it was felt from a staff perspective to install the servicing instead of come back and retroactively try to connect services later. That would have been more costly. You were already repairing or putting a brand new road base in. You would have been disrupting that many years over time. And so we had done that in absence of going off of the survey, as has been done at other times in the past. This process we have used before. I think still a tool in the toolbox. Obviously, we have to be cognizant of carrying costs associated with that. Our original estimate was about $83,000, and we came in well under that at about $47,000. There are 12 properties that were affected by this, and we know of at least a few properties that are very interested to connect. That's why this report is before you at this time frame. They want to get going on that as soon as they can. So they're looking to gather some or to get connections happening there. So I think with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions for Mr. Poupey? No? Seeing none? Before you, you have a resolution. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the resolution? Councillor Burgess, Councillor Grant? Any further questions? None? Then I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? And that would be carried. Thank you. And that brings us on to other business. Affordable housing policy. Ms. Freeze.
Thank you. So earlier today, we received an email that explained that we have received an opportunity to get additional funding from HAF for another, two initiatives that we can continue to work with, and then have a potential for an additional up to 20 more units. So I'm coming to council to see if you are interested in accepting this additional 500,000. It would be split up into two separate installments. In our third installment that we would be getting now with the original 1.6, this would be in addition to take us to 1.9336. And then the last installment would be in our final installment, but it is conditional, the final installment, on reaching our numbers. When we're in this situation with housing and the water supply issue, we are not guaranteed to get our numbers. However, we have always factored that in, that the fourth and final installment was always dependent on reaching those numbers. So this would add 20 extra units. So there's some risk there that we could not reach our numbers. However, it would give us additional funding now to do some very achievable initiatives with our planning staff that we have.
Councillor Cadeau?
Thanks, Chair. Through you to Ms. Freeze. Have you already identified potential projects then?
Yes, the two initiatives were identified in the HAF funding. One was for a housing policy, which would allow us to get amounts from developers for affordable housing. It would have to be voluntary, but we could put it into a policy, could help us to start establishing a affordable housing reserve. And the other one was more of a marketing type material for educational on affordable housing. So they are achievable initiatives that we can do with hopefully with our existing staff that we are still funding under the HAF program.
Councillor Schwinn?
Yeah, just concerned about the process here. We're given 7 or 8 hours notice of this, and you've got 2 days to make a response to CMHC. Mention what happened.
So back when we got our second installment, CMHC had reached out to all municipalities to identify any other possible initiatives that they could complete within the HAF timing to increase their unit counts. At that time, we put forward that these are 2 potential options that we could complete that were doable for us. At that time, we did not get approval for them, but now when we were just in the final stages of all the information for our third installment, we got that notification from CMHC that they potentially could give us another 500, but we need to respond quickly. So why it was so quick, I don't have an answer.
Okay, any other comments? None? No? Okay, there's no motion for this, so we will move on then to the next item. Mayor's report on regional matters. Mayor Shantz, floor is yours. Oh, sorry, Eric, I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure that no action is going to work for staff. We need to provide some direction. I'm not quite ready to move the motion or make a motion to accept the extra money yet because I need better understanding of what the chances are of putting the original money at risk.
So in our last account of the numbers, we were on track to achieve our numbers. The last amount of numbers that we would need to achieve for the final installment, I would say is already at risk, particularly with the water supply issue. We don't know at this time whether CMHC is going to allow any extensions based on the understanding that there is a water supply issue. But if they would, then I would say we are still on track that we could get the numbers. I don't, in my opinion, I don't think that the 20 really going to make or break the numbers in the end. I think if we're not going to achieve our full 800 and I forget the exact number, 800 and something units, then the extra 20 is not going to put us over the edge. So the short answer is we are on track, but with water supply, we have a risk.
So are you looking for direction?
I'm looking for a direction from council if they would like to accept the 500 and the 2 additional initiatives.
Council, what do we want to do with this one? Oh, sorry, Kale, I didn't see you there.
Could we, if we were to accept this, could we push them for an answer on whether or not they'd allow an extension? I think that's the sticking point for me is I'm worried if we're not allowed extension for some of these things when we have an issue that's out of our hands. I'm reluctant to sign on to something. So why I'm interested in it, I'd want to have assurances from them about the water capacity issue.
Through you, Madam Chair, so I can definitely put that question out there because of the short timeline that we need to respond. I don't want to put the 1.6 million at risk because we're not responding, so I can put the question out there, but I probably won't be able to get back to council for an answer and a clarification before that time frame comes up. We've already asked for the extension for today because this would be 2.
Council, where do we want to go with this? Mr. Brenneman, do you have any comments on this as far as deadlines?
Well, I want to be careful with this, but I mean, I think in my career, you have to remember at times the timing is unique with provincial and federal funding being available because of the realities of their fiscal year ends, and sometimes these opportunities arise, and we are almost at the end of March 31st, so there could be some parallels with that. But certainly the other parallel is we obviously were a previous recipient of the half funding, and that's how they would naturally reach out to us as well.
Councillor Schwinn?
So I guess based on Director Freeze's comments that the 10 or 20 units is a rounding error, there's not a huge downside to accepting the extra money, and it allows us to try and achieve a couple more projects. So if needed, I'd make a motion to go ahead.
Okay, seconded by Mayor Shantz. Do we have any other questions, comments? No other comments? You still have your hand up, Eric?
Sorry,
No, okay, just
take
checking.
it down.
Okay, then I'm going to ask the question. All in favor? And that would be carried. Okay, then we now will move on to Mayor Shantz for her report.
Thank you. We've been meeting regularly, mayors, CAOs, and regional council to work through the concerns around the water issue. I see on our agenda for the council tomorrow night is looking at a policy from Wilmot in 1980, where they had a policy on water taking, that there wouldn't be water taking from Wilmot. And so we'll be discussing that tomorrow night, and I expect it'll be a very energetic, contentious, yes, discussion. Our council meeting looks pretty, pretty standard.
Oh, perfect. Okay, we have no council reports. Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, just something minor. As I said earlier, Councillor Grant, Mayor Shantz and I were at a kind of environmental meeting on Friday there, and just two other things that weren't brought up as part of the motion, super minor, or more minor, I should say that. But anyways, I just wanted to know if council is fine with directing staff on these two small things. When we're doing the trees for downtown, one of the members there talked about on Park Street, there were some trees there previously, and we just wondered again, doesn't have to be in the direct timeline given the crunch, but is it a possibility to look at replacing some of the trees that were there along by the post office? Guess I'll direct that to Director Poupé.
We can certainly, through you, Chair Bryant, to Councillor Burgess, we can certainly look at it.
Appreciate that. And then the other second thing was, we have a few trees in the parking lot by the horse barn there, and they were just wanting to make sure those weren't getting missed being watered. I think it's the BIA that organizes the downtown stuff, so I'm not sure if that's something we could ask of them or if that's something staff would do. I don't know if Councillor could talk about that.
Yeah, the BIA contracts with a local business to do the watering of the planters, but we could always expand services to include trees. I don't think that would be an issue at all.
Thank you. If you're all right with it, I might just email you the location. You can touch base. Thank you.
Thank you. Any outstanding activity list items? No. Items pulled from the information package, school board trustees. Mayor Shantz, did you want to speak to that? Is that the item you wanted pulled?
I did, and I closed my, I did, and I closed my e-scribe to look up the regional one. Just give me a second. Sorry. Wait, trouble getting back in. Thank you. Oh, yeah, this was the school board had asked if we would support this recommendation that was put forward from Clarington to support locally elected trustees where there's concern that the provincial government is looking to make some changes there. And so they were just looking for our support. And I said I would put it in front of you for your consideration.
Council, do you want to support this objective? I guess we will call it.
Yeah, I'll move to support it.
Do I have a seconder to support that? Oh, sorry, Councillor Grant, you have your hand up as well?
I'll second it. I was moving.
Okay. Any discussion? No, then I'll put it to the question. All in favor? And that would be carried. Thank you. We have no items from the information and public notices. So that brings us to the end of the regular meeting of council. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? Mayor, Councillor Cadeau, seconder. Councillor Burgess, all in favor? Thank you. That brings us to the end of the regular, so on behalf of council, we would like to thank all those who watched the meeting or those who took the time to participate tonight. Good night, everyone.